some of the best top producers, if you ever chat with them, it's like you start doing really well when you have people stay with you for a long time.
Will you work to attract new agents, or what's your avatar in terms of a team member?
Welcome to Perspectives Unlocked. I am Leo, and today we have a media junkie and a systems ninja in the same room. You will hear from Ken Pozek, who built a real estate media machine in Orlando, and Joel Kirsch, who has watched Reel grow from a few hundred agents to a full-on movement. They talk about turning content into clients, why they chose this brokerage in a sea of options, and what it feels like to plug a serious brand into a platform that actually matches its ambition. Hit play on this one if you care about attraction, scale, and building something that lasts.
What's going on, Ken? How's you going today?
Good, man. Good to be here.
Good. I'm happy to be here with you. For what it's worth, it's been a little while, but here we are again.
Yeah, right on, man.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me today, and I wanted to talk about a few different things, but generally, just hear a little bit more about you. We've spoken a lot about work, but not necessarily about yourself, and I'd love to just kind of hear a little bit more about your story, what brought you to Orlando, and led you to the Pozek Group.
Yeah, man. So I've been in the business one way or the other for 22 years, which is crazy. It's all I've ever done. But I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and just kind of went through that whole Great Recession, and as a real estate agent, trying to figure my way out. And so we went into building a team there. And in 2016, my wife and I were like, hey, the team's going really well. It would be really cool to like have maybe a little second home in Florida. And so we came to Orlando, just always here with the kids, and friends and family live here. Friends right now that live here. And the story is like we came down to buy a place and then just never went home.
Oh, wow. Nice.
It was like we love it here. And so it felt like a really cool place to raise a family. And the more I learned about the market, the more I was like, there's a lot of agents here, but not a lot of people that are like really crushing it, which seemed like opportunity to me. And so we jumped in, and it's been a fun ride for 9 years or so.
That's crazy. So the inception of the Pozek Group here, kind of like initially in Orlando, was it more heavily invested in the brand, or just like hammering production?
Just me, man. Like it was, so I still had the team in Michigan, and they were trying to continue on without me. I would just sort of help coaching and training and using my brand up there to help that go. My assistant actually moved here with us, and
wow.
she worked for me up there, and so it was basically me and her, and I was door knocking and expireds and everything that I could to just sort of get it going as fast as possible. And then in 2018, I figured out YouTube, or started to figure out YouTube anyways. I feel like I'm still figuring it out. But we've now created this sort of media company that happens to sell real estate. And so 2025 today, we'll help roughly 600 families find home in Orlando. It's been a lot of fun.
That's amazing. It's really amazing to see not only the transition between the states, but also like being able to stand up and have the family life that you probably want, and then be able to also grow the brand the way you have. You're doing a lot of different things, not just on YouTube. There's a lot of different things in store that people don't know about yet.
Yeah.
And when you think about partnerships with the brand that you've built, because I feel like you've invested so much time and effort into it, what do you think about in terms of a partnership?
In terms of Reel?
No, just a lot of the brands that you maybe are working with. I know that you have the Orlando Reel, you've worked with the NBA, like just when you're thinking about actually taking the brand and the power that you've created and putting it with something else, like how do you size that up?
I think it's like, does it, I look at it from say like a YouTube subscriber position. This is like for me backing up and saying, if I put out this video, will this respect the subscriber? And I think about it the same way in the brand perspective. Is like, if I put this out, or I have this partnership, or I do this thing, does it respect the brand and the people that believe in it one way or the other? And so we've kind of become synonymous of like the positive side of Orlando. We talk about real estate development. We talk about living here, moving here. This all like a little bit of everything. Everything doesn't do with politics. I keep politics pretty much to the side, but everything else. And so does that brand alignment make sense? And so like, the NBA, like we really have one big sports team here, being the Orlando Magic. So that like was a slam dunk, quite literally for us, pun intended.
Pun intended.
So that's been really good for us to continue to sort of level up maybe somebody who didn't know us before.
Yeah. Have you noticed any changes kind of like with the growth of the brand in terms of agents that are knocking on your door to actually join the Pozek Group, or even maybe outside of Orlando?
Yeah, I feel like I say media and branding makes everything else easier or unnecessary, meaning that like before when I moved here, I'm having to call 30 or 40 agents to convince them to come. Now I put up on Instagram, hey, like we're growing. We've got more leads that we can handle. We've got these opportunities on the team, and we'll have 30 to 100 people a month reach out to join us. And so the attraction game is a lot more fun than the chasing game.
Right.
And so that's the way that we've been able to position ourselves because of the media.
That's incredible. So you mentioned it just a moment ago, but when you think about a partnership with Real, there was a time previously that you were with Real.
Yep.
Now you're back.
Yeah.
What would you say kind of top of mind were things that led you to be interested in even coming back? Let's just like start there.
Yeah, I was looking at it. The comeback was more so, I was at a place with my former brokerage where I was like, I really think I want to go independent. I think that if I can control my brand, because it is so important to me, that it would be easier to be independent. And then I started thinking back, okay, then I have to hire a broker of record, then I've got to do my own tech stack, and I have to do all these other things to run a brokerage just to get me back to ground zero. But then is this going to be in brand alignment and my promise to my agents, which is providing more opportunity that they can ever get on their own? And so I felt like if we had our media company, our systems, our culture, our training on top of or within Real with the rev share and stock options and their tech stack, that it just felt like the most powerful brand alignment that I could ever really want for them in the long term. Because I mean, some of the best top producers, if you ever chat with them, it's like you start doing really well when you have people stay with you for a long time.
Yeah.
And so like they're bought into the lead system, they're bought in with the culture, they're helping you grow. And so I want people to join us and never leave. And so if I don't create something like that, then you have this constant attrition, and that's just no fun.
It's crazy when you can combine the systems, the tools, and the culture at the same time, and what that does. We were talking about the organization, and you have almost the exact same group of people that you did previously. You haven't really lost anyone.
No.
3 years, two and a half years ago.
Yeah.
Which is wild, like for a team, the average churn rate in like the industry for agents. And so I think that's really, you've really like dialed in on that.
Yeah. I think so. We hire to a very like clear set of culture points, and like, if they're not who we think are like a brand fit for us or who we want to do business with, or hell, go to happy hour with, like that's, they're just not our people. And so when I say we've got 30 to 100 people reach out, we're maybe picking one of them that we're like, this person's our people. Right. And we think they're going to treat our leads and our clients in the way that we'd want them to be treated. And so brand alignment's important, but like just that cultural piece of who you're doing life with means a lot. For
sure. When you're putting in the number of hours and serving the families that you do, like it's about the people you work with.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. So what is exciting to you about the future here at Real? I know that there's some announcements coming out tomorrow at the Rise conference. Yeah. And so just curious, generally kind of outside of those announcements, what are you looking forward to most kind of like ramping up?
I think the cool thing about Real is that we're still so young. I know we've grown a ton, and like growing pains are what they are, but the fact that we're still so young, and the fact that yes, rev share and stock, I get it, but it's the collaboration of people wanting to grow together. I think we're like in this really great place, and the fact that we're still growing in a down market is actually really exciting, because what happens when the market starts to shift the other way, I think it's going to be some really serious growth that'll be fun to be a part of. And so growing or joining still where I feel like we're a younger company allows me to feel like I've got an opportunity to put a thumbprint on like who we become at 50,000, 75,000 and plus, right? So that's the way I'm thinking about it.
I love that. I think that where we're going, to your point previously about kind of like doing life with, is so important. It's also a lot different these days because it can be distributed online, right? There's you're not nailed down to an office. I think that the value of the office is so incredible in terms of what you're building, but having the power of a tool that's cloud-based. You could have Pozek Group in Mississippi, Alabama, Michigan. There could be a Pozek Group everywhere where you can literally copy paste your culture. Like, we got the secret sauce. Right. And not to jump ahead of ourselves, but what are you thinking about in the future for the Pozek Group in terms of the actual, not just the brand, but like the production and the team itself?
So my goal is to control 2% of the market share here in Central Florida. So that's like 2,500 sales a year. Nice. So yeah, it's like 2 out of every 100 sales would come through our team. And so when I look at it right now, we're at 600 sides, so not even 0.5%. But we haven't even really tapped into any major marketing at all. It's all been social media driven, kind of like we haven't done any of the old school stuff. So I think the old school mixed with the new school is really cool. Like when we joined the Orlando Magic as a partner, so many of their staff knew who we were already because of our media. Whereas if you flip that where you're like, hey, I need to get seen because now I'm a partner. Does that make sense? And so like if they invited us actually in, or invited me in to help their salespeople learn media strategies.
The Magic did.
The Magic did.
Wow.
And so I'm sitting like in the back of the room, like the owner of the team's son is in the back of the room, and we're just talking through kind of like, what does 2025 look like to build relationships online?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really cool piece to where I think if we flipped it and tried to spend a ton of money early on the old school stuff, it wouldn't have worked as well as it does today. And so we're ready to light put some gas on the fire, if you will, and keep growing.
That's incredible. And we're excited to grow with you. I know I am.
Heck yeah.
When you say kind of putting gas on the fire from the old school to the new school, I'm not a social media or a media mastermind at all. Like,
Sure.
Can you drill in a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, so like wildly enough, we're going back to like direct mail. And so because you go to direct mail and you put a literal thumbnail from YouTube on front and the QR code on the back, but if they've seen me online anywhere, which millions of people do a month, and now I'm showing up in their mailbox, and then they also see a billboard on the way to work. Like there's all these like old school things that pair really well with social media because I've already shown up on their news feed.
Right.
And so, I think about, hitting them like Army, Navy, Air Force. It's like by land, air, and sea. Like I'm trying to hit them billboard, in their direct mail, on social media. And then my agents are super present in the community. So we're assigning agents based on location in the city and saying like, you own this farm. So not only are we doing content online, but we're doing direct mail. And then you have to show up and do open houses, go to a run club, do whatever, like own that piece. And so we've been trying it over the past 18 months and in multiple different neighborhoods. We've gone from 5% market share to 30% market share, like dominating.
Yeah.
People where they didn't know us at all. And then all of a sudden we're taking over. And so I've got this idea where I think I could farm roughly 100,000 of the highest turnover, best price homes in Orlando, and then pair it with all of those things that I talked about and hopefully dominate.
I think that sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's some of the strategy we're looking at. Yeah.
That's great. We do a lot of different things with large organizations here at Real. With the tools and we're launching on the AI side.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you could have anything that you want in a tool from a brokerage, just like paint me a picture.
I think it's how do I save my operations side and my agents time so that they can focus in on what they're really good at. And so I think the cool thing about AI and everything that's going on is it's, I don't know that it's replacing any of the stuff that really matters in a real estate transaction to the client. Like you don't really need me to do back office kind of stuff. And so anything that can save my TCs or my ISAs or my agents time so that they can focus in on the client facing side and make a better experience for them. That's what I'm hoping we lean into.
Well, I can tell you that we are, but also I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So from like an individual agent perspective, maybe somebody who's just getting started or someone who, for what it's worth, is struggling in the market right now.
Yeah.
What would you say are some basic things that you maybe have done already or implemented at the team level that you feel are attainable, kind of like easily systematized, if you will, in terms of just going from 0 to 1, in terms of, hey, I'd like to be in front of people. I'd like to implement social and being kind of like in the run clubs and all those different things that you mentioned. What are some like very early steps to how that would work for them? Yeah,
I mean, we've spent a lot of time over the past year doing exactly that. Like, I think the reason why we're so far up year over year, like we're up 25% year over year when the market's down 35. Right. So like, and we have the same amount of agents that we did this time last year. Wow. And so one of the things that we got really good with is just like our systems and processes, time blocking, scripting, like all of the old school stuff that we've always heard that is important. Like, believe it or not, it actually is. And so like putting out another video is great, but if you're not able to do it consistently on a daily or multiple times a week basis, you probably should focus in on who you already know that likes and trusts you. And so for us, it was really slowing down and loving on the people that were already in our ecosystem instead of having to go buy more anything else, right? And so we got really, really clear on like who our avatar was in our database. And so if you're a newer agent, you probably know 100 people or a couple hundred people. And of those, you probably should be able to get 10% that convert into business. Right. Like this is what I tell anybody joining our team. And so slowing down and like getting very purposeful around your time block. And then literally on a daily basis, you're cold emailing and or calling and or having those happy hours. That's literally been the difference from our people. Yeah. Because before 2-3 years ago, you were running around just trying to write contract as fast as you could, right? The rub then was just, I have to write 7 contracts to get 1 accepted. Now you're having to talk to 7 times as many people to get one contract, right? And so just staying in front of the market where it's headed, I think that's or where, being realistic of where it's at has been helpful for us.
Yeah, so consistency in whatever your avatar is and whatever your focus is, but then also staying ahead of the market and using the tools that you can have available to you is really just like 0 to 1.
That's right.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
When will you work to attract new agents, or are you kind of like what's your avatar in terms of a team member?
Joining us?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so my goal is to get to, so we're 31 agents today. My goal is to get to 40 within the next year, just based on lead flow and kind of our bandwidth. I know that we can grow. And so, the idea is just as fast as we can get to 40, but like not settling on. So you and I were talking before the show, like my avatar for the perfect agent is somebody that's hungry, humble, social, and curious.
Right.
And we figured out based on who we already have on our team that crushes it. Like what are the attributes that we see all the time in those people often? And so that's kind of who we became. And so as fast as we can hire those kind of people, we'll do so.
Nice. Well, I have good news for you. There's a lot of people that are interested in joining Real.
Yeah.
And I think combined with your secret sauce for the team, you probably are going to do pretty well.
Thanks, man. What are you most excited about over the next year or so with the company?
That's a great question. I think that I've been at Real, actually, I'll be at Real 8 years in January.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm
How
dead
many agents
serious.
were a part of it when you came?
There were 450-ish agents when I started.
Shut up.
I had moved from New Orleans to New York,
Okay.
and I had worked at a commercial mortgage brokerage, and then I worked at a software company, and I was really lucky to go public with them. But then I wanted to do it again, but I wanted to do it earlier stage. I joined that company like Series D or E.
Yeah.
And quite lucky, I'll spare you like the long story, but quite luckily I spoke with a recruiter. I said, real estate tech, like seed round. I know it's a risk. They're like, okay. So I got a phone call back like a month later. And the recruiter said, have you ever heard of a company called Real? I was like, no. What turned out to be very serendipitous about it was the office that I was in was on 24th Street in New York City, right, it overlooked Madison Square Park.
Yeah.
And the Real office was on 24th Street on the other side of Madison Square Park. I was like, I could sneak out for lunch.
Sure, yeah.
So I went and I actually interviewed with Tamir. And so I interviewed with Tamir and a couple of other people. There were 8 staff in the US at that point. There were some engineering teams in Israel, but then we kind of like focused all in on growth at that point. I started at like 450 realtors. We were like 12 or 13 states that we were open in. That was January of 2018. Startups happen, things get topsy and turvy, and you just kind of keep driving.
Mm-hmm.
And then June of 2020, previously to that, we had kind of like talked about changing the model, going public, offering revenue share and stock.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm all in, I want to ride this thing out and see what happens. Yeah. And I'm very glad and I'm very happy and blessed that I did, because we went public in the summer of 2020 on the Toronto Stock Exchange. I did like there's a video of me like clapping on the TSX somewhere with a big beard.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, you had a big beard?
I had a COVID beard.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
It was just a mess.
Yeah.
Personally.
Right.
Company was doing fine.
Sure, yeah.
And at that point, we had grown to about 1,100 agents in like 18 states. By February of 21, we were at 2,000 agents, and we're over 30,000 agents now. And so I've kind of worn many different hats over the years. I recruited outbound, I onboarded, I did support. During COVID, you only could go one person in the office in New York City, so I had to like cash checks as well. I did a little bit of everything, and then I was very lucky to be in a situation where I worked with Pratesh when his team came on board, and so I didn't work on Reason, but like the onboarding process. Mm-hmm. It couldn't just be me at that point, so then I helped build out an onboarding team and a support team, and then I reported to Jenna, our COO, overseeing the support and onboarding team. And then things really took off. I got to meet Sharon. I met him before he became my boss. So I got really lucky in that context. I actually got to meet him in person and spend some time with him during an organization that moved over to Real. And I probably said some stuff I shouldn't have in front of him, but we just kind of like hit it off.
Yeah.
And then I got a call from Tamir, and he was like, hey, do you want to work with Sharon? And I was like, yeah,
Heck yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
And so he came on board as the president, and then I kind of was between operations and growth. And then Jenna graciously was like, hey, you can't do both anymore.
Yeah, pick which one.
Yeah, well, it's two full-time jobs,
Sure.
right? And so I like to think that like my brain is in operations, but my heart is in growth.
Yeah.
And that's really ultimately where I drive kind of like my passion from, which is just working with agents.
Sure.
I love having these conversations over and over and over with all different groups and teams.
Sure.
There's like, maybe it's a joke, but like there's nothing below me. I don't really care. I'll jump on the call with anybody anytime just to see if like it makes sense.
Well, dude, I tell you, so we moved over officially a week ago, and dude, you were so essential through the entire process and so gracious along the way. But I want to go back real quick. I'm flipping the script. But this is okay. I'm interviewing him now. So 30x growth in 5 years.
Yeah.
And so how do you create a culture where people, I mean, one of the things we struggle with as a team is, like the past year, like operational excellence has been something that I've been really harping on.
Yeah.
Because from a systems standpoint, John Maxwell says that systems make the ordinary extraordinary. Yeah. And I think that's very true. Like so when I say slowing down for scripts and time blocking, like you have to have this system created. But even on the back end system, one of the things we've struggled with though is that people keeping up with the change and being okay with like, hey, this is how we did it for 3 months. It didn't work really well. We're going to change it a little bit. Or hey, this is working extremely well. We need to lean hard on this so we can continue to grow. How do you keep that like everybody rowing in the same direction and with a good attitude when you're having 30x growth in 5 years?
I wasn't gray before I started working here. No.
You have the big beard.
Yeah. I just grow hair everywhere. So it's a great question, and I don't think that there's like one clean answer to it, because what I've learned, I started like the boiler room in New York City. Like I put down 2,000 sheets in front of a telephone and I dialed, and that was like my introduction to real estate. Like, what's your prepayment penalties? And I'm like, what's a prepayment penalty? Like, yeah, we can do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's a moment for me that was you kind of just dig deep and you make these little decisions in your life that you don't really think about much when you're going through it. And there was a moment where I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but like I went for a walk around the block and I just went back upstairs and I just picked up the phone again. And I think that what I'm getting at is when you find people who want to better themselves and you have the culture of like, hey, we're building something special, it's a lot easier to go through the change, because there's no secret sauce, because everybody's got to have their own why.
Sure.
Because it's very difficult when it's like 1Z, 2Z, 3 people. And then as a bigger scale, it doesn't work for everyone, unfortunately. And that's something that like, I tell people all the time, people ask me like, how do you keep dealing with this? And I tell them it's because I'm learning something new. Learning something new that makes me uncomfortable secretly, and maybe not so secretly, is like what the secret sauce is for me. Like, I love doing things that make me uncomfortable. If you find love in that and you can build a system around it, I'm kind of bearing the lead. Like, yes, there's a 300-page document where I mapped out the onboarding process for every single state, logged all the usernames and passwords for the brokers, like all of it. You got to have those things. But besides that, I think that's actually the easy part. Figuring out who can actually deal with the change but wants it. That's the secret.
Man, that's so good. Do you feel like it's interesting when I think about like who's left our team over the past year while we're going through this? They weren't the ones that were all bought in. Right? They were definitely in it for themselves and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like the people that are getting attracted from an agent side? You get the cool thing about your job is you get to see a lot of agents, teams from all different walks of life. What do you feel like the big rub for them that you see consistently over and over is right now?
I think there's a few things. The big one that I'm dealing with currently is like independent brokerages. There's such pain in the marketplace where it's like, there's either I can't grow enough, right? I've kind of reached this ceiling where like I can't offer these things. I don't have the time, the money to invest in the tools, build my own, like all these things. So they hit a ceiling. Or they are really just in a situation where like brokerage is, really in a race to the bottom,
It is.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so
Brokerages are like the razor thin margin. Like I don't think people fully realize
yeah.
it is.
Well, yeah, you get 30,000 agents, billion-dollar company, and it's like, yeah, but this is how it actually works, right? And so I actually think that there's a word that gets thrown around a lot. It's like a teamerage, right? And I think that that's where you're at, I believe, most likely is the teamerage model, which is you've got a system and you've got tools. You're big enough to kind of chart your own path forward, but you've got the systems and the tools and the technology of Real behind you that you can kind of build on, which allows you to not only grow faster, but also it kind of like takes the restrictions off. There's no state lines. There's no there's no different tools and different caps and different things like that. And so I actually had a conversation with a broker owner this morning, and she said, well, why should I join Real? And I said, well, what is it that you really want out of the business? Because if you say one thing, I'm going to tell you probably shouldn't join Real, right? Let's just call it what it is.
Sure.
But for individual agents, I think people just need community right now. There's nothing worse than going through a tough time in the business, but then also feeling alone.
Yeah.
That's incredibly difficult, isolating.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
I had a good coach of mine talk about how your culture shouldn't be for everyone. If you're attracting everyone, then you don't really have culture. You just have a bunch of people.
You got a recruiting company.
You got a recruiting company, yeah. And that's one thing I think is really special about Real. And one of the things I've always known for the past few years, having not been here, was like, all my friends are here, all my people are here, right?
Right.
And when you find that a company or place where you don't have to feel like you're doing life alone, and then you also get to make money, like there's nothing more special than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the reason I'm still here. When I interviewed with Tamir, I kind of also like interviewed him, which again, there's like a series of bad/good choices I've made, but I was a little dead inside. Like, sales can just be soul sucking, right? And so there was a moment where I was like, look, I want to do the startup thing. I'm going to just throw myself into it. So I was like, what do I have to lose besides just like asking him the hard questions?
Sure.
I don't even know if he probably remembers this, but I said like, okay, let's skip down the road. This is 2018. 5 years, 10 years, whatever number it is. If you could have anything you want, what does it look like? And he said, I want to have the biggest brokerage in America by volume. And I was like, okay, money. Like, why? And he goes, it's not really just the money. He said, but for the agents, if we can find a way to be the biggest real estate brokerage in America by volume, we don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
Because we will have built the right tools. We will have brought in the right people. We will have built the right culture. We would have done all of these things that we had to do right, the hard things, before that. And that was the part that I was like, okay, I want to work here.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Dude, so good. Let me flip this around. I've actually got to see behind the scenes of the growth of the company. Dude, I'm excited to see where we go together.
Me too. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope we get to do this more often.
Let's do it.
All right.
Ken just gave you a masterclass in building a media-first real estate business. Joel showed you what it looks like when the platform behind that business is built to keep up. If you are an agent or a team leader, here is the takeaway. You can either keep renting your brand from a logo on the door, or you can own your brand and plug it into a model that rewards you for growing it. Real is betting on the second option. I am Leo. Go build something your future self will be proud of, and I will see you on the next one.